Hi there, this is Cory Doctorow, and you're listening to my podcast. This is part 10 of my reading of Eastern Standard Tribe, my 2004 novel from Tor Books, available in finer bookstores everywhere or downloaded for free from the internet, craphound.com/EST. Well, I'm out of sorts today. I got back in from Vancouver yesterday. I had a really nice time there, but boy, did I ever work hard while I was there. It was a really, really packed schedule. My apologies to everyone who emailed and said, "Hey, how about we get together for a beer or something while you're here?" Because I don't drink beer or anything. Also alcoholic. I get hangovers like you wouldn't believe. But B, I was scheduled from like 6 in the morning till like 11 at night every day that I was there. It was crazy. Um, but I'm back, and thank you to everyone who turned up at the talks. They were really successful, and I know the Simon Fraser people were really happy with how they went. Full houses. Those of you listening to the podcast, which would be, I guess, everyone listening to this, you've heard the talk through the podcast already, so I hope you enjoyed it too. Um, the reason I'm really out of sorts today, though, is Time Warner Cable, who have just blown up again. This is my local cable modem monopoly, who are spectacularly badly managed. I used to be an Adelphia customer, and Time Warner bought Adelphia. Now it's a monopoly, and the service has just gone down and down and down and down. Very long outages, very long hold queues to speak to people. Today it's the DNS. Last time it was a fiber break, and it took them a day and a half to fix it. And the worst part is that because they're the monopoly, you get in your car, you drive around, and everyone, Starbucks, the independent cafes, everyone is using them for their internet service, and no one has connectivity when Time Warner goes down. It just makes me crazy. They are like the worst company in the entire universe. Um, so, having ranted about Time Warner, let that be a warning to you. Don't buy Time Warner DSL or cable modem if you get the choice. I will mention that emerging tech is coming up soon. I'm staying put. Well, actually, I'm not staying put. I'm not doing any work-related travel for a little while. I'm going to Las Vegas. Well, that is work-related. I am traveling for work still. I'm going to Las Vegas next week, but it's not. I'm not doing anything public. I'm actually doing this really fun thing. We have some friends who started a guide to hotels that are fun to have romantic, dirty weekends in, called Mr. and Mrs. Smith, as in you go and you sign the register Mr. and Mrs. Smith because you don't want anyone to know what you're up to. And they asked us to review a hotel for them once when here in Los Angeles. So we went and stayed at the Avalon in Beverly Hills, and that was really great. Now they've asked us to go to Vegas and review 2 hotels for them. So they pay the expenses in the hotel, and they give us a little per diem. They don't pay us any money or anything, but it's fun. You get to go and play Spy, and we're going to go see Penn and Teller, which I'm really looking forward to. And then we're going to go see, might see Cirque du Soleil or go to the Grand Canyon or whatever. But we're not going to do any socializing. It's my girlfriend's been out of town for 2 weeks. We haven't seen each other, and so my apologies in advance to anyone in Vegas listening to this who's thinking, oh well, maybe we'll get together for a coffee or something. I'm not. It's just gonna be the two of us this weekend. It'd be really nice. So I'm going to be doing that, and then when I get back the following week, I'm going to the Emerging Tech Conference, the O'Reilly Conference, and at the end of that week, on the 29th of March, the good people at Mysterious Galaxy Bookstore have asked me to come in and do a little half-hour informal book launchy thing. I hope to see you there if you're a San Diegan, and if not there, at the O'Reilly Emerging Tech Conference, and if not there, at both. And if not there, well, you're lost, toots. Anyway, that's it. Back to the novel, Eastern Standard Tribe. Boy, we're really close to the end here. Chapter 24. Father Ferlinghetti showed up at Art's Grands at 7 p.m., just as the sun began to set over the lake, and Art and he shared lemonade on Grand's sun porch and watched as the waves on Lake Ontario turned harshly golden. "So, Arthur, tell me, what are you doing with your life?" the father said. He had grown exquisitely aged, almost translucent, since Art had seen him last. In his dog collar and old-fashioned aviator shades, he looked like a waxworks figure. Art had forgotten all about the father's visit until Gran stepped out of her superheated kitchen to remind him. He'd hastily showered and changed into fresh slacks and a mostly clean t-shirt, and had agreed to entertain the priest while his gran finished cooking supper. Now he wished he'd signed up to do the cooking. I'm working in London, he said. The same work as ever, but for an English firm. That's what your grandmother tells me. But is it making you happy? Hang on, I just had a browser crash. Sorry about that, my browser just crashed, weird. But is it making you happy? Is it what you plan to do with the rest of your life? I guess so, Art said. Sure. You don't sound so sure, Father Ferlinghetti said. Well, the work part's excellent. The politics are pretty ugly, though, tell the truth. Ah, well, can't avoid politics, can we? No, I guess we can't. Art, I've always known you are a very smart young man, but being smart isn't the same as being happy. If you're very lucky, you'll get to be my age, and you'll look back on your life and be glad you lived it. Gran called him in for dinner before he could think of a reply. He settled down at the table, and Gran handed him a pen. What's this for? He asked. Sign the tablecloth, she said. Write a little something and sign it and date it. Nice and clear, please. Sign the tablecloth? Yes, I just started a fresh one. I have everyone sign my tablecloth, and then I embroider the signatures in, so I have a record of everyone who's been here for supper. They'll make a nice heirloom for your children. I'll show you the old ones after we eat. Which should I write? It's up to you. While Gran and the father looked on, Art uncapped the felt-tip pen and thought, his mind blank. Finally he wrote, For my Gran, no matter where I am, I know you're thinking of me. He signed it with a flourish. Lovely. Let's eat now. Art meant to log in and see if Colonel Onick had dredged up any intel on Linda's ex, but he found himself trapped on the sun porch with Gran and the father and a small stack of linen tablecloths hairy with embroidered wishes. He traced their braille with his fingertips, recognizing the names of his childhood. Gran and the father talked late into the night, and the next thing Art knew, Gran was shaking him awake. He was draped in a tablecloth he'd pulled over himself like a blanket, and she folded it and put it away while he ungummed his eyes and staggered off to bed. Audie called him early the next morning, waking him up. Hey, Art, it's your cousin. Audie? You don't have any other female cousins, so yes, that's a good guess. Your Gran told me you were in Canada for a change. Yep, I am, just for a little holiday. Well, it's been long enough. What do you do in London again? I'm a consultant for Virgin Deutsche Telekom. He had this part of the conversation every time he speaks with Audie. Somehow the particulars of his job just couldn't seem to stick on her mind. What kind of consultant? User experience. I help design their interactive stuff. How's Ottawa? They pay you for that, huh? Well, nice work if you can get it. Art believed that Audie was being sincere in her amazement at his niche in the working world, not sneering at all. Still, he had to keep himself from saying something snide about the lack of tangible good resulting from keeping MPs up to date on the polyconomy of the semiconductor production in Pacific Rim sweatshops. They sure do. How's Ottawa? Amazing. And why London? Couldn't you find work at home? Yeah, I suppose I could. Just seemed like a good job at the time. How's Ottawa? Seemed, huh? You're going to be moving back then? Quitting? Not any time soon. How's Ottawa? Ottawa? It's beautiful this time of year. Alfie and Enoch and I were going to go to the trailer for the weekend in Calabogie. You could drive up and meet us, swim, hike. We built a sweat lodge near the dock. You and Alfie could bake up together. Wow, Art said, wishing he had Audie's gift for changing the subject. Sounds great, but, well, gotta catch up with friends here in Toronto. It's been a while, Well, the image of sharing a smoke-filled dome with Alfie's naked, cross-legged, sweat slime paunch had seared itself across his waking mind. No? Geez, too bad. I really hope we could reconnect, you and me and Alfie. We should really spend more time together. Keep connected, Well, Art said, sure, yes. Relations or no, Audie and Alfie were basically strangers to him, and it was beyond him why Audie thought they should be spending time together. But there it was. Reconnect. Keep connected. Hippies. We should. Next time I'm in Canada, for sure. We'll get together. I'll come to Ottawa, maybe Christmas. We'll go skating on the canal, okay? Very good, Audie said. I'll pencil you in for Christmas week then. Here, I'll send you the wish list for Alfie and Enoch and me, so you'll know what to get. Christmas wish list in July. Organized hippies. What planet did his cousins grow up on, anyway? Thanks, Audie. I'll pull together a wish list and pass it along to you soon, okay? His bladder nagged at him. I gotta run now, all right? Great. Listen, Art, it's been, great to talk to you again. It makes me feel whole to connect with you. Don't be a stranger, all right? Yeah, okay. Nice to talk to you, too. Bye. Safe travels and wishes fulfilled, Audie said. You too. Chapter 25. Now I've got a calm, and I hardly know what to do with it. Call Gran? Call Audie? Call Fede? Log into an EST chat and see who's up to what? How about the Jersey clients? Well, there's an idea. Give them everything. All the notes I built for Fede and his damn patent application. Sign over the exclusive rights to the patent for $1 and services rendered, i.e. getting me a decent lawyer and springing me from this damned hole. My last lawyer was a dickhead. He met me at the courtroom 15 minutes before the hearing in a private room whose fixtures had the sticky filthiness of a bus station toilet. Yes, hello, I'm Alan Mendelsohn, your attorney. How are you? He was well over 6'6", but weighed no more than 120 pounds, and hunched over his skinny ribs while he talked, dry washing his hands. His suit looked like the kind of thing you'd see on a Piccadilly station homeless person, clean enough and well enough fitting, but with an indefinable air of cheapness and falsehood. Well, not so good, I said. They upped my meds this morning, so I'm pretty logy, can't concentrate. They said it was to keep me calm while I was transported. Dirty trick, huh? What? He'd been browsing through his comm, tapping through what I assumed was my file. No, perfectly standard. This isn't a trial, it's a hearing. We're all on the same side here. He tapped some more. Your side. Good, Art said. My grandmother came down. She wants to testify on my behalf. Oh, the fixer said, shaking his head. No, not a great idea. She's not a mental health professional, is she? No, I said, but she's known me all my life. She knows I'm not a danger to myself or others. Sorry, not appropriate. We all love our families, but the court wants to hear from people who have qualified opinions on the subject. Your doctors will speak, of course. Do I get to speak? If you really want to. It's not a very good idea either, though, I'm afraid. If the judge wants to hear from you, she'll address you. Otherwise, your best bet is to sit still, no fidgeting, look as sane and calm as you can. I felt like I had bricks dangling from my limbs, and one stuck in my brain. The new meds painted the world with translucent whitewash, stuffed cotton in my ears, and made my tongue thick. Slowly my brain absorbed all of this. You mean my Gran can't talk, I can't talk, all the court hears is the doctors? Don't be difficult, Art. This is a hearing to determine your competency. A group of talented mental health professionals have observed you for the past week, and they've come to some conclusions based on those observations. If everyone who came before the court for a competency hearing brought out a bunch of irrelevant witnesses and made long speeches, the court calendar would be backlogged for decades. Then other people who were in for observation wouldn't be able to get their hearings. It wouldn't work for anyone. You see that, right? Not really. I really think it would be better if I got to testify on my behalf. I have that right, don't I? He sighed and looked put upon. If you insist, I'll call you to speak, but as your lawyer, it's my professional opinion you should not do this. I really would prefer to. He snapped his comm shut. I'll meet you in the courtroom then. The bailiff will take you in. Can you tell my Gran where I am? She's waiting in the court, I think. Sorry, I have other cases to cope with. I can't really play messenger, I'm afraid. When he left the little office, I felt as though I'd been switched off. The drugs weighted my eyelids and soothed my panic and outrage. Later I'd be livid, but right then I could barely keep from folding my arms on the grimy table and resting my head on them. The hearing went so fast I barely even noticed it. I sat with my lawyer and the doctor stood up and entered their reports into evidence. I don't think they read them aloud even, just squirted them to the court reporter. My Gran sat behind me on a chair that was separated from the court proper by a banister. She had her hand on my shoulder the whole time, and it felt like an anvil there to my dopey muscles. All right, Art, my jackass lawyer said, giving me a prod. Here's your turn. Stand up and keep it brief. I struggled to my feet. The judge was an Asian woman about my age, small round head set atop a shapeless robe that perched high on a high seat behind a high bench. Your Honor, I said. I didn't know what to say next. All my wonderful rhetoric had fled me. The judge looked at me briefly, then went back to tapping her comm. Maybe she was playing solitaire. Maybe she was looking at porn. I've asked to have a moment to address the court. My lawyer suggested that I not do this, but I insisted. Here's the thing. There's no way for me to win here. There's a long story about how I got here. Basically, I had a disagreement with some of my coworkers who were doing something that I thought was immoral. They decided that it would be best for their plans if I was out of the way for a little while so that I couldn't screw them up, and they coopered this up, told the London police that I'd gone nuts. So I ended up in an institution here for observation on the grounds that I was dangerously paranoid. When I look at the people when the people in the institution asked me about it, I told them what had happened. Because I was claiming that people who had locked me up were conspiring to make me look paranoid, the doctors decided that I was paranoid. But tell me, how could I demonstrate my non-paranoia? I mean, as far as I can tell, the second I was put away for observation, I was guaranteed to be found wanting. Nothing I could have said or done would have made a difference. The judge looked up from her comm and gave me another once-over. I was wearing my best day clothes, which were my basic London shabby chic, white shirt and grey wool slacks and narrow blue tie. It looked natty enough in the UK, but I knew that in the US it made me look like an overage door-to-door Mormon. The judge kept looking at me. Call to action, I thought. End your speeches with a call to action. It was another bit of West Coast Vulcan mind control, courtesy of Linda's fucking ex. So here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to stand up here and let you know what happened to me and ask you for advice. If we assume for the moment that I'm not crazy, how should I demonstrate that here in the court? The judge rolled her head from shoulder to shoulder, making glossy black waterfalls of her hair. The whole hearing is very fuzzy to me, but that hair. Who ever heard of a civil servant with good hair? Mr. Barry, she said, I'm afraid I don't have much to tell you. It's my responsibility to listen to qualified testimony and make a ruling. You haven't presented any qualified testimony to support your position. In the absence of such testimony, my only option is to remand you to the custody of the Department of Mental Health until such time as a group of qualified professionals see fit to release you. I expected her to bang a gavel, but instead she just scritched at her comm and squirted the order at the court reporter, and I was led away. I didn't even get the chance to talk to Gran. Chapter 26. Received address book entry Toby Ginsburg from Colonel Onick. Colonel Onick, private. This guy's up to something. Flew to Boston twice this week. Put a down payment on a house in Orange County. Big house. Big down payment. A car, too. Vintage T-Bird convertible. A gas burner. Bought CO2 credits for an entire year to go with it. Trepan, private to Colonel Onick. Huh. Who's he working for? Colonel Onick, private. Himself. He federally incorporated last week. Something called TunePay Inc. He's the chairman, but he's only a minority shareholder. The rest of the common shares are held by a dummy corporation in London. Couldn't get any details without using a forensic accounting package, and that'd get me fired right quick. Trepan, private to Colonel Onick. It's okay. I get the picture. I owe you one, all right? Colonel Onick, private. Sweat.value == 0. Are you going to tell me what this is all about someday? Not some bullshit about your girlfriend? Trepan, private to Colonel Onick. Heh. That part was true, actually. I'll tell you the rest maybe someday. Not today, though. I gotta go to London. Art's vision throbbed with his pulse as he jammed his clothes back into his backpack with one hand, while he booked a ticket to London on his comm with the other. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he ordered the taxi while scribbling a note to Gran on the smart surface of her fridge. He was verging on berserk by the time he hit airport security. The guard played the ultrasound flashlight over him and looked him up and down with his goggles, then had him walk through the chromatograph twice. Art tried to breathe calmly, but it wasn't happening. He'd take 2 breaths, think about how he was, calming down pretty good, especially since he was going to London to confront Fede about the fact that his friend had screwed him, stabbed him in the back, using his girlfriend to distract him, and meanwhile she was in Los Angeles sleeping with her fucking ex, and who was going to steal his idea and sell it as his own, that fucking prick boning his girl right then, almost certainly laughing about poor old Art, dumb fuck stuck in Toronto with his thumb up his ass. Oh, Fede was going to pay, that's right, he was. And then he'd be huffing down his nose, hyperventilating, really losing his shit right there. The security guard finally asked him if he needed a doctor. No, Art said, that's fine. I'm just upset. A friend of mine died suddenly, and I'm flying to London for the funeral. The guard seemed satisfied with this explanation and let him pass finally. He fought the urge to get plastered on the flight and vibrated in his seat instead, jiggling his leg until his seatmate, an elderly businessman who'd spent the flight thus far wrinkling his brow at a series of spreadsheets on his comm, actually put a hand on Art's knee and said, "Switch off the motor, son. You're going to burn it out if you idle it that high all the way to Gatwick." Art nearly leapt out of his seat when the flight attendant wheeled up the duty-free cart, bristling with novelty beakers of fantastically old whiskey shaped like jigging Scotsmen and drunken leprechauns swinging from lampposts. By the time he hit UK customs, he was supersonic, ready to hammer an entire pack of players filterless into his face and light them with a blowtorch. It wasn't even 0600 GMT, and the Sikh working the booth looked 3/4 asleep under his turban, but he woke right up when Art stepped past the red line and slapped both palms on the counter and used them as a lever to support himself as he pogoed in place. "Your business in England, sir?" "I work for Virgin Deutsche Telekom. Let me beam you my visa." His hands were shaking so badly he dropped his comm to the hard floor with an ominous clatter. He snatched it up and rubbed at the fresh dent in the cover, then flipped it open and stabbed at it with a filthy fingernail. "Thank you, sir. Door number 2, please." Art took one step toward the baggage carousel when the words registered. Customs search. God fucking damn it. He jittered in the private interview room until another customs officer showed up, overrode his comm, and read his ID and credentials, then stared at them for a long moment. Are you quite all right, sir? Just a little wound up, Art said, trying desperately to sound normal. He thought about telling the dead friend story, but unlike a lowly airport security drone, the customs man had the ability and inclination to actually verify it. Too much coffee on the plane. Need to have a slash like you wouldn't believe. The customs man grimaced slightly, then chewed a corner of his little mustache. Everything else is all right, though. Everything's fine. Back from a business trip to the States and Canada, all jet-lagged. You know. Can you believe those bastards actually expect me at the office today? That might work. Piss and moan about the office until he gets bored and lets him go. I mean, you work your guts out, fly halfway around the world and do it some more, get strapped into a torture seat. You think Virgin springs for business class tickets for its employees? Hell no, for 6 hours. Then they want you at the goddamn office. Virgin, the customs man said, eyebrows going up. But you flew in on BA, sir. Shit, of course he hadn't booked a Virgin flight. That's what Fed'd be expecting him to do. He'd be watching for Art to use his employee discount to hop a flight back. Yes, can you believe it? Art thought furiously. They called me back suddenly, wouldn't even let me wait around for one of their own damn planes. 1 minute I'm eating breakfast, the next minute I'm in a taxi headed for the airport. I forgot half my down underwear in the hotel room. You think they could cope with one little problem without crawling up my cock, wouldn't you? Sir, please calm down. The customs man looked alarmed, and Art realized that he'd begun to pace. Sorry, it just sucks. Bad job. Time to quit, I think. I should think so, the customs man said. Welcome to England. Traffic was early morning light, and the cabbie drove like a madman. Art kept flinching away from the oncoming traffic, already unaccustomed to driving on the wrong side of the road. England seemed filthy and grey and shabby to him now, with tiny little cars with tiny anal-retentive drivers filled with self-loathing, vegetarian meat substitutes, and bad dentistry. In his rooms in Camden Town, Art took a hasty and vengeful census of his stupid belongings, sagging rental furniture and bad art prints hanging askew. Not any more, not after he smashed them to the floor. Bad English clothes, toss him on the floor, looking for the one thing he'd be caught dead wearing in New York City. And guess what? Not a single thing. Stupid keepsakes from Camden Market, funny novelty lighters, retro rave flyers preserved in glassine envelopes. He was about to overturn his ugly little pressboard coffee table when he realized there was something on it. A small leather-worked box with a simple brass catch. Inside, the axe head, 200,000 years old, heavy with the weight of the ages. He hefted it. It felt ancient and lethal. He dropped it into his jacket pocket, instantly deforming the jacket into a strokey left-hanging slant. He kicked the coffee table over. Time to go see Fede.